In today's video, I'm photographing forest waterfalls with longer lenses to find intimate scenes just like these. Now I have it on good authority that around here somewhere is a lovely woodland walk. It's very quiet, very private. It snakes its way up towards a hidden waterfall. Now, I know the waterfall is there because I've seen photos, but I've been wandering around this little village near Pitlochry in Scotland for about half an hour now, trying to find the beginning of this walk, and I've got no idea where it is. Oh, and my hair's all over the place, and I'm too dark. Everything is going wrong in this video. Okay, there's a chance this might be it, because this snakes its way up. But in just trying to find this place, I've currently walked through four different people's driveways and gardens. I actually love these kind of exploration days where I just come out with my camera, a couple of lenses, and I just wander around. I just explore, because I love being out in the outdoors. I love walking. I love seeing these things, so it's nice to come out with no set agenda on what it is that I'm going to get. You could probably tell I'm a little bit out of breath because I've walked up an ever so slight incline for all of 2 minutes. I should probably do this more often. But I have come to a stream that I can either cross and go around here, or what looks like a footpath that goes up this side of this little waterfall-y bit. And I think that is the way I'm going to go. Also, you might have noticed that I put a hat on because my hair was driving me nuts. Okay, little update then. That was as far up the stream as I could go that way, so I have backtracked and I'm going to take a pathway that went a different way. I've been walking along this bank, and this whole way up here we've got lots of little tiny waterfalls, including this one here. Now, this is not the waterfall that I've been looking for, but I actually have been looking at these, and this whole stretch is so cluttered with rocks and fallen branches that it's not a very photogenic spot, particularly because this is in a bit of a valley and it's all in shadow. But one little technique I have found of getting some really, really nice waterfall shots, particularly if you're using long exposures, is rather than trying to take a wide view that's capturing all of the waterfall and all of the river, instead trying to find little scenes, focusing in using a longer lens. In this case, I've just kept on my 100mm macro. So instead of trying to capture all of the complicated rocks and all of the messiness of this entire scene, I'm just focusing on these two bigger rocks here, which I think look really, really nice. And I love the way the water is cascading around them. So I am zooming in, focusing on the rock there, and I want to shutter speed of about half a second. I don't want it to be completely ghostly, just a really nice blur. So I think about half a second should do that. That means I need to be about f/18. Now, I'm not saying that's the most compelling image in the world. It is by no means the most magical waterfall photo that you could possibly take, but zooming in on those little details like that can be a really good way of finding a photo if you're in an area like that where taking a wide shot of the whole river isn't that attractive. There's just too much going on, too many complicated stones and fallen bits of tree, that means that it's just not that pretty a scene. But you can get something a little bit more abstract and a little bit more considered by focusing your composition. I have just glimpsed something that I think anyone would call a waterfall. I had no idea it was this big. I thought it was just the bottom part. I thought it was going to be maybe 10 foot, but it is immense. Shooting it though is going to be tricky because one, it is big, and so I'm not going to be able to capture all of it in one photo. Also, it's completely in shadow. There's no light falling on it, no interesting contrast. It's very much just flat light. Getting a compelling photo is going to be a bit more tricky, so I'm actually going to keep in mind the same things that I did before, thinking about narrowing that composition, trying to find more intimate scenes within the waterfall rather than trying to capture the whole thing in its entirety. So this is going to be my first scene, and I've kept my 100mm macro on, and it's giving me this lovely composition where we've got this almost like a basin halfway up, and that's kind of forming the lower thirds line of my frame. So we get this, all of the different waterfalls, all the different little levels completely filling the frame, and I really like that about this image. So again, I'm going with about a half a second shutter speed, ISO 100. That means I need an aperture of about f20. I think it might be a little dark, so I'm going to go f18. Focused already. I've come down a little bit more to the water level of it, but I still don't think it's particularly easy to shoot, because actually getting lower down means that you can't capture any of those upper falls. So I think I'm going to give up on trying to capture the whole thing, but I have found another really cool intimate scene, again using my 100mm macro. So let's take a look. So I found these really nice rocks right at the bottom of the waterfall. Obviously it's catching all of the water as it's cascading down, and if I use a slower shutter speed, all of these lines of water are going to turn into silky ribbons coming down. It's going to look great. So again, I need a shutter speed of about half a second, f18. I've manually focused on those rocks. Love it. I've done a little bit of scouting around, and I have found a location that I think gives me a better opportunity for a wider shot of it. If I start at 24mm, the widest this lens will go. The issue is that we've got a lot of sort of empty water down here, and also a lot of empty sky. We don't really need that. So again, it's about narrowing that composition to find a more attractive shot. Not going full 100mm, but basically I'm keeping going until we lose a lot of that sky and lose a lot of that dead water. And something around here is really good. I might back it off a little bit and potentially just crop in more if I want to. I think something like this works really well. I've also put my circular polarizer on the front. That's just helping control some of the highlights at the bottom of the water. But I'm at 0.6 seconds shutter speed, f18. Now, part of me wonders what this might be like with a really wide-angle lens, but the problem is that we've got just a lot of empty sort of twiggy trees. We haven't got lots of verdant leaves on here, just lots of kind of dead brown wood. So I don't actually think as a wide scene this works particularly well. So I'm glad to be able to narrow the composition much more to the waterfall, these lovely rocks around it, the mossy greens on the right-hand side. This obviously is the focus of this image. All of this very much isn't. But I've done a bit more refining still, and I think this is my favorite composition. I've gone into about 60mm, I think. We've got this great scene where we've got all of the water cascading down from the top bit, sliding down the rocks here and then coming up here. It forms this great sort of curve right through the frame, but it is also framed either side by the rocks. So all in all, I just love this composition. Same settings as before, half a second, f18, tap to focus. I think this is a really, really beautiful scene. Even on the back of camera, that's a shot that I am really, really happy with, because I wasn't happy trying to get wide shots, trying to capture everything around here. But that shot at 60mm just captures enough of the waterfall to really show how big it is, show that ferocity of the water, but not getting in all of the distractions around it. Okay, so my last shot of today is this vertical composition with the waterfall in the top and this lovely log in the bottom. I've tried a few different compositions here, and I'm just giving this one a quick go before I leave. What I want to do is have a third of a second exposure, and because we've got quite a lot of extreme foreground here and the waterfall is in the distance, I'm going to have to focus stack this. So I'm going to start up by taking one shot, focusing on the waterfall for the distance, one shot focusing on these rocks in our midground, and then finally I'm going to do a shot on the log, and actually I'm just going to do one more on the log right at the bottom of the frame, and then hopefully I can blend all of those together and have a really nice sharp in focus image. But that does bring me to an end of today's video. Hopefully you have found it helpful, or at least a little bit enjoyable. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit that like button, consider subscribing if you don't already, and I will see you next time.